The first time it happened, she thought it was a glitch. A static-filled voicemail from a number that had been disconnected for half a year. A number that once belonged to her husband. Her late husband. The voice was faint, but it was his. And then he said something no one else could have known. Something only the two of them had shared alone. On a night that no one else remembered. What would you do if someone you buried started calling you again? Before we dive into this chilling true story, tap that subscribe button, like the video, and comment where in the world you're watching from. This is Edgeline Stories, where real life writes the most unforgettable scripts. Vanessa Cooper wasn't new to grief. She had lost people before. Friends, grandparents, even a cousin to a car crash in her early 20s. But not one of those losses, compared to the still, empty ache that settled in her bones the day she lost Ben. Her husband, her other half. Ben had died 6 months ago. A sudden cardiac arrest while jogging. No warning, no goodbye. Just a call from a stranger and the memory of the paramedics saying, "We did everything we could." Vanessa didn't scream that day. She didn't faint or throw things. She just went quiet, like the sound had drained from her world. Ben had always told her she was the strong one, but even the strong eventually crumble. Now, 6 months later, Vanessa was still crumbling, just a little more slowly and a little more silently. Her friends thought she was healing. That was the thing about grief. It wore a polite mask for others. Smiled at grocery clerks. Replied, "I'm doing okay," when the neighbor asked. But inside, it still raged. Quiet, cold, like a winter storm no one could see. It was on a Wednesday when her world tilted again. Vanessa had just gotten home from the grocery store, a routine that now filled the hours she used to spend with Ben. She placed the bags on the counter, talking aloud to the silence out of habit. "Ben would have forgotten the eggs again," she muttered with a sad smile. That's when she saw it. One new voicemail. From Ben's number. She stared. The screen didn't lie. Her fingers shook as she pressed play. At first, just static. Garbled noise. And then, Ben's voice. But undeniably his. "Ness, it's me. I don't know how long I have. But you need to check the old cabin. It's not what you think." And then, silence. No goodbye. No timestamp. Just gone. Vanessa froze. Her breath caught in her throat. The old cabin? That place hadn't come up in years. It was where Ben's father used to take him as a kid. They hadn't been there together in over a decade. And now, Ben was telling her to go there? But from where? She didn't believe it. Not at first. There had to be an explanation. She called her phone provider. Spoofing, they said. Probably a robocall glitch. She even considered calling the police, but what could she say? "Hi, I think my dead husband just called me with a message from the beyond." She played the message again. This time, listening closer. His voice, the way he said her name, Ness. That wasn't something anyone else used. It was his nickname for her since their second date. And the cabin. Only they knew the significance of what happened there. A weekend in the woods. A confession. A ring hidden in a box of firewood. Their engagement. No one else had ever known. So, if this was a prank, it was one layered in secrets. 2 days later, Vanessa drove north. The cabin sat deep in the woods, untouched for over a decade. It had belonged to Ben's father, who died years ago, and had since fallen into disrepair. As she approached the property, the trees whispered. The wind pushed against the windows as if warning her. Inside, everything was covered in dust and memories. The photo of Ben as a child still hung crookedly on the wall. She stood in the middle of the living room, clutching her phone. No new messages. Nothing. She almost turned to leave, until something on the floor caught her eye. A floorboard. Shifted slightly out of place. She knelt. Pulled it loose. Inside, a metal box, wrapped in old cloth. And inside that, a USB drive. Labeled, "If something happens to me, Ben." Her heart dropped. What was on the USB drive? Who was Ben afraid of? And why did he record this message before he died? We'll unravel the mystery, layer by layer, because some messages don't come from the grave. They come from the truth we never saw coming. Vanessa stared at the USB stick in her hand. It felt heavier than it should have, like it carried more than files. She hesitated before plugging it into her laptop. For a moment, the screen stayed black. Then a folder popped open. Inside, "Read me first." And beneath it, several audio recordings. Dated. Numbered. Months before Ben died. She clicked the first file. Ben's voice crackled through the speakers. "Ben, recording. Ness, if you're hearing this, something went wrong. I don't know how much time I'll have, or who might try to stop this. But I couldn't keep this secret anymore. I found something. Something I was never meant to know." Narrator. Her stomach tightened. Ben had been an engineer, level-headed, logical, grounded. He didn't speak in riddles. She clicked the second file. "Ben, recording. Remember the pharma deal my company signed last year? It's not what it seemed. I discovered trial results were being buried. People were getting hurt, Ness. Children. And they paid for silence. I pushed back, and suddenly, they started watching me. I couldn't prove anything. Not yet. But I started recording everything." Vanessa gasped. Was this why he died? He said it was cardiac arrest. Random. No prior condition. But Ben was 34. Hell it. He ran every day. And now he was saying. She clicked the third file. "Ben, recording. If they make it look like an accident, I need you to find this. You're the only person I trust. If I'm gone, go to the cabin. Take the evidence to someone who can help. Please, promise me you'll finish what I couldn't." Vanessa sat in stunned silence. Her fingers hovered over the mouse. More files waited to be opened. But something shifted outside the cabin. A crunch of gravel. She froze. Out the window, a black SUV sat idling at the edge of the trees. No plates. No lights. Then, it backed away, disappearing into the forest. She slammed the laptop shut. They knew. Someone knew she had the recordings. Her breath came in short, sharp bursts. Ben had warned her. They might come after you too. And now, it was beginning. Vanessa couldn't go to the police. If what Ben said was true, this reached deeper than law enforcement. She needed someone outside the system. Someone who cared more about truth than protocol. That's when she remembered The Signal, a rising podcast about corruption, whistleblowers, and unsolved deaths. She had listened to a few episodes after Ben died, never imagining she'd become one of the stories. She emailed the host anonymously. "I have proof my husband didn't die of natural causes. I have audio files. A location. I need help." The reply came 6 hours later. "Let's meet." They met in a coffee shop an hour outside the city. The podcaster, Lena Cruz, was younger than Vanessa expected. Sharp eyes. Steady voice. No small talk. "I believe you," she said. They plugged in the USB together. As Lena listened, her expression changed. From curiosity, to concern, to fury. "These files," she whispered. "This could blow open half the biotech lobby." Vanessa didn't understand all of it. But Lena did. And she had a plan. "We go public. Carefully. With the right edits. A slow burn. If we drop everything at once, they'll bury it." Vanessa nodded. She wasn't afraid anymore. Ben had trusted her. Now it was time to make them all listen. The first episode of The Signal's new season went live 3 weeks later. Title: The Engineer's Secret. It started small. Whispers in comment sections. Threads on Reddit. Then, the national press caught on. Ben Cooper's death. His recordings. His widow's quiet fight for justice. A former employee came forward. Then another. Within 2 months, a congressional hearing was announced. But that's when the threat started. A car followed Vanessa home one night. A message scratched into her windshield. "Silence is safety." She sent it to Lena. "Let them come," the podcaster replied. "They'll only prove us right." There was one file Vanessa hadn't opened. The last one, dated 2 days before Ben's death. Her fingers trembled as she clicked play. "Ben, recording. Ness, I wish I had more time. More mornings to make coffee. More bad movies to laugh through. More of you. But if I'm gone, I hope you found this in time. And I hope you never stop asking why. Because the truth, it's worth everything. I love you. Her tears came without warning. For the first time in 6 months, she didn't cry from grief. She cried from knowing, from purpose, from a voice that refused to stay silent. But the story didn't end there. Because just as the truth began to surface, Vanessa received another call. No caller ID, no voicemail, just one word spoken before the line disconnected. Stop. Was Vanessa risking everything for the truth? Or had she stepped into something far darker than she realized? What would you have done in her place? Let us know in the comments. And if you thought this story was wild, wait until you hear about the woman who got a call from her son's daycare, even though she never had a child. That story is coming next. Clapperboard, so make sure you hit subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. This is Edgeline Stories, where real life writes the most unforgettable scripts.